recently, Hindus in Metro Detroit held a rally to protest attacks against religious attacks against the minority Hindu community in Bangladesh. And joining us now to provide more context on that and talk about that ongoing situation in Bangladesh are a couple of people from Hindu temples in the Metro Detroit area. Sharmila Khastagir is a member of the Kalibari Temple in Warren, and Nasy Sankagiri joins us again from the Bharatiya Temple in Troy with us on the MegaCast now. Thanks for being with us.
Hello and namaste, Tyler. Namaste to all your viewers.
We appreciate having both of you on. So, Nasy, first, if we can go to you, give us a little bit of a background on the Hindu minority population in Bangladesh and the situation that they're currently facing on the other side of the world.
Yes, thank you. So, prior to 1947, this whole land was all one country under the British colonial rule. It was known as the Indian Empire. And when the British left the area in August of 1947, they randomly divided the land into Pakistan and India. And in the Pakistan, it was in two land segments. What is currently the country of Pakistan and what is currently the country of Bangladesh, separated by this vast land in the middle called India. And the people in the land of Bangladesh share a lot of cultural, linguistic, and religious interaction with their brothers and sisters in the West Bengal region of India. Collectively, that whole area was originally known as Bengal, and the British divided it into East Pakistan, right? And East Pakistan suffered a lot of discrimination and neglect within the Pakistani rule from 1947. And in about 1969 through 1970, they came up with a separation movement in which they demanded to be their own country. And at the time, the Indian government assisted them in their struggle. And in about 1971, the country of Bangladesh was born. And the country of Bangladesh shares one of the longest land borders with its neighbor, India. And India has been a very close ally with Bangladesh all this time, right? And Bangladesh is home by its very nature to a lot of Hindu people. Even though it's a majority Muslim country, the Hindu minority group at the formation of Bangladesh in 1971, it formed approximately 25 to 28% of the population. However, through religious persecution, with religious cleansing and whatnot, that population has been dwindling ever since. But by and large, in general, the region has been peaceful. However, recently, through October is particularly a very holy period for Hindus globally. It is the time of a 10-day-long celebration called Navratri, which is particularly sacred to in the Bengali culture. And while the Hindu population in Bangladesh were getting ready to celebrate this very sacred holiday, unfortunately, several mobs have attacked the sacred sites, the temples, and entire villages, resulting in not only property loss and desecration of sacred sites, but actually loss of life and unspoken atrocities. So this is the background against which we are meeting today to discuss this issue.
And then, so Sharmila, give us a little bit of an overview on some of the violence that is being met in these populations and the riots and the deaths that are occurring in Bangladesh from within this Hindu minority population that is so concerning and should be of concern to people here locally and across the globe.
Sure. I will also kind of go in conjunction with what Nasy said. So what's happening is all this started during the biggest Hindu festival of the year, which is Durga Puja, as Bengali Hindus would like to call it. This is a week-long festival, like Nasy Ji said, that happens yearly. So on one of the days, a rumor was spread that the holy book of Quran was found on one of our deities' lap inside our temple. So this news was spread quickly, and an angry mob of Islamic fanatics pretty much unleashed violence against the Hindu minorities all over Bangladesh. This included burning of houses, looting the temples, desecrating the deities. We have physical violence, reports of deaths, and also reports of rape of a small child. So as the news spread, there were also talks of this being an isolated incident. I think this is where we were trying to do the awareness, because this is not the case. It's not an isolated incident. The case is that it has been happening even before the independence of Bangladesh. Now, I'm a numbers person, so I'll tell you about the displacement of Hindus ever since the partition happened in 1947. So from 1964 to 2013, around 11.3 million Hindus left Bangladesh due to religious persecution and discrimination, which means on average about 632 Hindus left the country each day and 230,612 annually. So this was an actual analysis done by a Dhaka University professor, Dr. Barkat from Bangladesh. So what Nasy Ji said, from 28% in 1940, it fell to 8.96 in 2011 and dwindling ever since. So even if you look at the genocide of 1971, estimated 2.4 million Hindus were just killed because of the religion. And if you look at the number of attacks since 2013, there has been over 3,600 attacks on the Hindu community since 2013, which included vandalism, arson, targeted violence. I'll even tell you about a story that I actually went through in 1990 before I came to USA. There was a huge Hindu-Muslim riot that happened. I was about 4 years old. The mob came into the village, breaking the temple, taking deities out of their chambers, torturing the pandits there. We had to actually seek refuge at a neighboring Muslim family's house. So at that time, other Muslim families were saying, you know, they can't protect us because if they do, they will also suffer consequences. So somehow, some way, obviously, we were spared, and now I'm living in the U.S. So I do have a say now. I can speak out against it, and that's what I'm doing at this point, pretty much, is creating the awareness in what's happening in Bangladesh.
And so what more can be done, Sharmila, at the community level here and across the board here in Michigan and in the U.S. to raise awareness for what's going on in Bangladesh and to work with the powers that be to urge the government here in the U.S. and through them urge the government in Bangladesh to put more into resolving this issue and preventing further violence against the minority Hindu community?
Sure. So what we're really trying to do regarding this issue, you know, people living outside of Bangladesh, what we can do, at least in my experience, this is the first time there have been protests globally, such as the Michigan Temple, which is the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. They have over 800 temples globally. They have done a global protest in the form of kirtan, of peaceful protest. We also held 3 protests here in Michigan. One was the awareness walk for last week in Troy we did. There have been protests in LA, New York, Texas, other places such as Toronto, Finland, UK, Sydney, Dhaka, South Africa, India, Montreal. I think the number one thing to do right now is actually bringing awareness to the situation. If you don't even know that it's happening, how can anyone tackle the issue? So we need religious leaders, political leaders, celebrities, influencers, anyone, anywhere really to realize what is happening and condemn this behavior. Anytime there's a majority group that unleashes violence in a minority group, we need to come together and speak up against it. So we really need to put aside religions that are just here to separate us and just become one as a human being. The country of Bangladesh actually sells itself as a secular country, and I think it's time for them to act like one. So that's pretty much what we're doing, is bringing awareness. That's the first step. We're still on the first step.
We're joined by Sharmila Khastagir, the member of the Kalibari Temple in Warren, and Nasy Sankagiri, a member of the Bharatiya Temple out of Troy, talking about the ongoing situation in Bangladesh, where minority Hindu groups are facing extreme violence from majority groups in Bangladesh. And just for context, with a few more minutes left with the two of you today, Sharmila, just how many families does this affect here in the state of Michigan who may have roots back to Bangladesh or may have family over there that is being affected by this issue right now, just to give some context on how much this does directly affect us here in the state of Michigan as well?
Well, if you look at the Bangladeshi Hindu community in Michigan, there's thousands of families here. We have 3 different Bangladeshi Hindu temples here. You know, there's hundreds of members there. I personally have family members in Bangladesh. My grandparents live there. My uncles live there. I have family members that actually moved out of Bangladesh to go to India to kind of, you know, gave up their land just to kind of go away from the persecution. So everyone here that's a Bangladeshi Hindu in Michigan has some sort of a relationship back to Bangladesh. Cousins, you know, uncles, family members, grandparents, anything, anywhere we have here, we also have roots back home. I actually still visit Bangladesh and would still like to visit Bangladesh, you know, if I have a home to go to that.
We're joined by Sharmila Khastagir and Nasy Sankagiri talking about the situation ongoing in Bangladesh, where minority Hindu groups are facing hate crimes and violence at a mass rate right now. And so we appreciate both of you coming on to raise some more of that awareness in our community here, and for what you're doing out in the community to raise awareness for this, so we can try our best to help the people of Bangladesh resolve this issue before it becomes even more violent and more lives are unnecessarily affected by this, as they already have been in so many ways. Anything else that we should be aware of at this moment, or other ways that people can help out right now?
If I can take a moment to offer a couple of things here. One thing we would urge your viewers, especially those people who are sensitive to global issues and human rights and justice, please do reach out to your congressperson and the senators of Michigan, Debbie Stabenow and Gary Peters, and please let them know of your awareness and your concern about this burning human rights issue. I also represent a Hindu council called the Hindu Community Relations Council. We have placed several resources, including contact information for all the Southeast Michigan Congress representatives, as well as the senators. mihindu.org. You can go to that website, and right there on the front page, you will find brief background information, as well as contact information and other resources that you can use to contact your federal elected officials. Secondly, I would like to give a shout out to our Senator Gary Peters. He raised the Bangladeshi question in Senate Committee on Foreign Relations, so we appreciate it very much, sir. And I hope the U.S. Congress continues to build up a pressure on the Bangladeshi government to do the right thing and to protect the minority Hindu population there.
Again, you can learn more information at mihindu.org. Sharmila, Nasy, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.